I mean, I was going to add to this. I've actually met Posh George. To add to this,
you amaze me. Honestly, if I had to guess who in the Times of staff would be, yeah.
No, I met him at a party, to be very clear here, and I've taken no money in gifts or kindness, whatever, and it was a very brief conversation. But there's a certain class of people Nigel Farage has around him, of which he is just one of many hangers-on, who are people who identify with his politics, people who are useful to him, and people who he likes to have around, a coterie of fans and supporters.
Let us talk about Nigel Farage's difficult weekend, with the Sunday Times revealing that he didn't declare benefits provided by an ally previously convicted of fraud in the United States. George Cotterill gave Farage security and social media staff in the year before he was elected an MP. The Reform UK leader also used a property rented by Cotterill near Buckingham Palace. The vital point here is that under parliamentary rules, new MPs need to declare any interests and registrable benefits received in the 12 months before the election, but not personal gifts. Nigel Farage argues all this falls into that second category. He says, "I've done no wrongdoing, followed the rules. I'm now considering legal action against the Sunday Times. It's clear the establishment will stop at nothing to hurt reform. We want to smash their cosy consensus." Here is Nick Tyrone, author of Rise of Reform.
This is the biggest storm that he's probably ever faced. It feels like it. It feels like everything else, that he's ever faced in his political career, he sort of has been able to shrug off. This is, for various reasons, much more difficult. I think it's the concentration of how many stories that there are.
So Reform has been hitting back hard at the Sunday Times. Richard Tice claimed Gabriel Pogrund despises Nigel and is a Labour stooge. Gabriel is, of course, the reporter who reported this story, or at least one of them. Farage has called it an establishment stitch-up and so on. Libby, dangerous question. Which side are you on?
Well, I had to look up what it is this guy has actually done. This Posh George, as they call him. It turns out to be a charge of laundering drug money, and he would have had 20 years in jail, but there was a plea bargain, and it was originally money laundering, fraud, blackmail, and extortion. He brokered a plea, and he is down to just 8 months spent in prison. It's pretty disreputable, and I think taking large sums of money from people with recorded offences and recorded prison sentences is a stupid thing for a politician to do. And I don't believe that Farage was so broke that he had to do it. So he shouldn't have taken that money. It was a very bad political misstep. That's really all I can say. I mean, I feel the same about Farage as I did before, but it's unusual to see him taking quite such a misstep as this. It's a bit like that poor footballer who tripped on the he tripped over the barrier and has broken his. I think this is the barrier over which Farage has tripped, and it may do him quite a lot of harm.
Seb, without wishing to bring this too close to home, the idea of Gabriel Pogrund being a Labour stooge would have surprised him, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, Gabriel, who is one of the absolute best journalists in this building here at News UK, has probably done more damage to the Labour government than any other reporter in terms of his amazing reporting on Peter Mandelson, on Labour Together, on Morgan McSweeney. I mean, if you want to go and have a look, Gabriel's actually tweeted this morning all the stuff he's done, and the idea that he's a stooge for anyone is completely for the birds. I mean, he is not someone who has an agenda. All he cares about is good reporting, and he's obviously editor of the Sunday Times Insight team, which is, I think, one of the world's most renowned investigation teams, and that speaks to how highly he's rated. And it's pretty disgusting stuff from Reform. It's very Trumpian in that sense, and I thought it was very amusing to see Nigel Farage's outriders, one of them Raheem Kassam, a former aide of his, and Andy Wigmore, another aide, saying they're trying to do to Nigel Farage what they did to Donald Trump, who has famously been caught making billions from his presidency. So that didn't really seem to be the attack line they thought it would. I mean, I was going to add to this. I've actually met Posh George. To add to this,
you amaze me. Honestly, if I had to guess who in the Times of staff would be, yeah.
No, I met him at a party, to be very clear here, and I've taken no money in gifts or kindness, whatever, and it was a very brief conversation. But there's a certain class of people Nigel Farage has around him, of which he is just one of many hangers-on, who are people who identify with his politics, people who are useful to him, and people who he likes to have around, a coterie of fans and supporters. And the question here, as you heard from Nick Tyrone earlier, is why didn't he declare this? Because we heard Robert Jenrick doing the rounds yesterday, and Mr. Jenrick essentially confirmed every single core tenet of the Sunday Times reporting, which is that accommodation, security and social media support was provided to Nigel Farage.
It can't be both an old story that everyone's bored with and complete smears and lies.
Exactly.
You pick a lane.
It is. And it is true. And as the parliamentary rules are very clear. In the 12 months before becoming an MP, everything has to be declared. So whether it's the £5 million gift, as Nigel Farage described it, from Christopher Harborne, all this support from Posh George, it should have been declared. And it hasn't been declared. And Reform have basically admitted that. And that is why the Parliamentary Standards Ombudsman is looking into this. I do think it is the biggest problem Nigel Farage has had in a long time, because it was only in 2017 he said he was 53, single and skint, and all of our reporting over the last couple of weeks shows that he's not skint. He's got his 5 properties plus all this extra parliamentary earnings outside of being an MP, and I think ordinary voters will look at this and just say, what is going on here?
Look, we've got to sort of tread slightly carefully here, but Seb, does it make you wonder? Look, Farage has been around a long time and he's fronted a lot of operations. Does it make you wonder about what reform really is, about who has always been behind the Farage projects, about how close Farage has always been to lots of people with money at a time when he himself was less scrutinised? I think is about as far as I wish to go in answering that question.
Yes, and I mean, there is a question here about the character of people who've backed UKIP, the Brexit Party, Reform, ditto. You can have questions about the character who've backed other parties as well, which is something that has been debated, and people will like some people and not like some people. We have the Electoral Commission, which exists to make sure that those donations are legally correct. But I think the issue with this instance, Hugo, is not about those people. It's just about the basics of being open and transparent. So to give you an example on this, Jeremy Hunt, the former Conservative Chancellor, owns, I think, almost as many properties as Nigel Farage. Some of them owned through companies he's owned. Jeremy Hunt has declared every single one of those through the Parliamentary Standards Register, and you can go and look and see them there. And the sense and the problem Nigel Farage has got is all this reporting points to, why didn't you declare this? Why wasn't it out there? And voters can take their judgment on Posh George or Christopher Harborne or whatever, but the fact it's all hidden up, that's the problem that he's not getting away from. And the only way he's going to get away from this is if he was to open up all his books and say, right, no more reporting, here it all is, take a call for yourself. But I think, for reasons we can only speculate on, he might not want to do that.
Libby, look, just the Trump approach to this kind of thing is like, you bet there's a lot of money around, your rules are stupid, what are you going to do about it? Votes don't care. Do you look forward to that kind of politics coming to Britain?
No, absolutely not. No, I think we need the old-fashioned sort of shuffling away in shame, quite small things, which we used to have. We can't do with the Trump-style politics. Farage is really, I said it was a political misstep. I think it is a political misstep. I think people notice this kind of thing. And I think, even quite keen Reform voters notice this sort of thing. And it may be that within the party he gets toppled. There are some quite good, respectable people, don't wish to name them, but who did actually come over from parties to Reform, and they may be gathering around him now saying, Nigel, it can't be all about you, because all about you at the moment is a bit dodgy. It may not happen yet, but I think it will happen.
Well, we shall see. Look, if you're reading those reports about Nigel Farage on thetimes.com, you can, of course, also listen to the first episode of a podcast by the Insight team now. It's called Posh George, the criminal behind Farage, and it's available now wherever you get your podcasts.